Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. In this video we're going to be looking at one of the latest carts from Evercade, Demons of Asteborg and Astebros. Let's get started. So let's have a look at Demons of Asteborg and Astebros. I guess one is the sequel to the other. I think this one's kind of an indirect sequel maybe. Not entirely sure. This is cart number 36. So two very interesting games. I think the best way of describing them is kind of a roguelike style sort of slashing games. A bit like Cathedral, I guess. One is a little bit different to the other. Like Astebros is pretty different to Asteborg. Might not be for everyone. Let's have a look at the manual. Interesting stuff from Neofid Studios. Now these games are available on other platforms such as Steam and Xbox, and they've been out for a few years I think, and they are certainly really high quality games. I'm not really sure they're worth being on a dual cart. Maybe it would have been better on Indie Heroes perhaps, but again I might be wrong. I think they certainly would cost you as much as a Evercade cart on Steam anyway. Interesting games, might not be for everyone as I said, but yeah, nice little manual we've got here, lots of different details about the moves for each game and what you can actually do. Certainly looking forward to getting stuck into these two games. Let's have a look at the games on the EXP and the Super Pocket before we look more in depth on the VS. Love the cart, let's have a look now. And here we have it. Let's jump into Astebros first. And certainly the text looks quite small. That's certainly a worry for the Super Pocket, I would say. I'll press X to go past this text. Ooh. Double jump. And double. Ha! Interesting move. Definitely a very good looking game. Let's have a quick look on the Super Pocket before we look more in depth at these games. It certainly looks really good on the Super Pocket as well. I'm just a little bit concerned that perhaps the text might be too small. But yeah, this still looks really decent. We will look at these more in depth at some point on the Super Pocket. But I guess for now, let's get it onto the VS and we'll look at it in more detail. Okay guys, so let's have a quick look at these two games before we get started. Now interestingly enough, Astebros is the prequel of sorts to Demons of Asteborg, even though obviously Astebros was made a couple of years afterwards. It was obviously made this year, but it is kind of like a prequel to the other game. Bit weird how they've done that, but it is what it is. So in Astebros you can actually play between I think 3 different characters, and they're all pretty different. Again, I'm not entirely sure which one is best to play. And something interesting about this, you can actually play 2 players at the same time, which, I don't know, I've not actually tried, but that sounds pretty interesting. Might have to give some of these games a try at a later date in multiplayer mode. As it says there, it's actually, obviously it was released after Demons of Asteborg, but it is some sort of prequel kind of thing, and they are pretty much Mega Drive titles. Pretty straightforward controls. There won't be any issues on your Super Pockets apart from maybe small text, which I'll probably go over in another video just to make sure that you can play these properly on your Super Pockets. You see there A, B and C, typical classic Mega Drive layout I would guess there. Demons of Asteborg, entirely just one player for this game. This one's a little bit different. I think in Asteborg the levels are, I don't know, they're a bit randomly generated. It's weird as heck. I'm not sure I like that as much. I think I prefer Demons of Asteborg, and it's kind of more linear structure through sort of stages with a boss at the end of each level. And this is also a kind of a Mega Drive title as well. Yeah, don't forget to roll or dash. It does help, especially in both games. Dashing and rolling type of thing does help to evade some attacks. And again, 3-button layout. Now, interestingly enough, the character is named Gareth. Can't think of many games where the main character is called Gareth. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to start with Demons of Asteborg first. Okay, so Demons of Asteborg starts off easy enough. The initial screens are really just a tutorial to get used to the moves. Obviously you can use your sword, you can jump, you can roll, you can also do a wall jump, which sometimes I found pretty annoying through the game. It's not quite Mario here, but when you do the double jump sometimes you'll miss it, and if you don't time it right you'll just slide all the way down, have to do it again and again. And that's kind of a recurring theme for me through the game. I felt at times the controls were a little bit stiff maybe, and a bit non-reactive to the button pressing that I was doing. Only on occasion. I just felt at times it just wasn't really responding as well as it should. But the game itself, it's okay. I know this really is not my type of game at all. It's not quite as in-depth as Cathedral, but it's obviously got similar sort of gameplay elements, and it does have similar frustrations where the enemies just seem to be right upon you and you lose health, and it's not really your fault even though I'm swinging away at the enemies with the sword. I seem to miss more than actually hit. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But personally, I'm not in love with the game. I think it's okay, I don't think it's amazing. I kind of got a little bit frustrated from time to time. It's certainly a lot more linear than Astebros. It's got a level structure, and you've got bosses at the end of each sort of level as well. But there's a lot of frustrations within the game that just started to annoy me just a little bit with the controls and how it worked. There's also sections where you maybe have to search for certain items. You maybe need to find a key to open a drawbridge, and you also need to maybe clear a certain section of the screen before you can actually progress. It's not bad. I just don't really think it's the most amazing game I've ever played. Certainly not Cathedral. If you enjoyed Cathedral, I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy this as well. If you didn't like Cathedral, then this might not be for you. Personally, I'm not really thinking it's for me, to be honest. I enjoyed certain aspects of it, but it's not one of those games I'm going to come back to and play extensively because I got too frustrated playing it. And I think out of the 4 cart releases at the same time at the end of November 2023 that Evercade have sent, I think this cart might be my least favourite and probably the weakest of all 4. However, that may differ from person to person. You might actually think this is the best cart out of the 4. But personally, I just don't think this is my favouriteest of the 4 carts. I wasn't really enjoying them as much. That's not saying this is a bad game, I just don't think it's up to the same sort of calibre as the other game releases that we've seen so far. Okay, so as mentioned previously, you will come across some sections where you have to clear all the enemies on the screen before you can actually make some progress. And something I want to sort of point here is a strategy to try and take out some of the tougher enemies that take more than a few hits to actually die is sort of get a couple of hits in and then immediately after your second hit is jump backwards to avoid the enemy fire like that, and then do the same and just keep repeating until it dies. You can also do that with the first boss as well. And obviously it's all about avoiding their hits, so just try and learn the moves and you'll probably make progress. For me, sometimes I get a little bit impatient and just keep slashing away and without even thinking about defending yourself or jumping back. Interestingly enough, there isn't a defend button. I couldn't find one. I don't think there is a way of defending yourself in this game, which seems a little bit of an oversight to me. And here we have a flashback sequence and this kid looks very angry. Okay, so that probably wasn't the way of taking out that boss, but eventually once you do, it does take its time to die for some reason. But anyway, once you complete that, you move on and you get a choice of upgrading at the end of each level, depending on how many coins you actually picked up through the stage. So that's probably quite important, is try and pick up as many coins as you can through the level so that you can get proper upgrades at the end of each stage. Not sure which one is the best to go for, but interesting stuff nonetheless. Okay, as I probably mentioned earlier, there's some frustrations in this game that I don't feel were my fault and why I actually died or lost life. Trying to grab onto these vines or whatever they are on the side of the building, I think you press the jump button, which seems a bizarre button choice given the fact that you press that you could jump at the same time. But anyway, that is what it is. Trying to grab onto them without falling down was really frustrating for me, and yeah, it just seems completely unnecessary. And then we get to this bizarre next section where you need to run backwards to make the barrel roll so that you can then jump across the chasms here. Now obviously that makes complete sense, but in gaming terms it feels wrong, even though obviously in reality you probably would do that. But yeah, it just makes for a really awkward gaming section here, and I didn't enjoy this one bit, and yeah, I got frustrated again. It feels completely out of place in this game. It feels like they're trying to sort of add a little bit of variety to the game, and for me it just added more frustration, which I really did not enjoy. Okay, so overall, I'm kind of sitting on the fence with this game. I don't love it, I don't hate it. I think it's definitely better than Astebros, given the fact it's got actual level structure to it. But that's going to differ from person to person. Some people may love this game, some people are going to hate it. For me, I don't really feel either or. I think it's really just an average game. And I definitely don't think this is a good value cart at all. But there will be people out there that love this cart. Personally, it's just not for me.
Astebros!
Okay, so Astebros is definitely a very different game to Demons of Asteborg. And you've got the choice of 3 characters to start with. You've got the main character here, which is obviously your typical knight with the big long sword. That's not a euphemism. And there's another character that's like a mage-like character where you can use magic, and there's also another character that has a shotgun. Personally, not really sure it makes a lot of difference whatever character you go. Just be careful here. Placing a bomb, you need to actually hold down and the B button for a good few seconds before it actually works. It's not just a quick button press here. But yeah, the level structure, as we've probably covered, is completely random. You could go into the same level and it'll be completely different, which I really don't get. Guess this just isn't really for me, to be honest. I don't get why this happens, meaning you're going to go into these levels probably time and time again, and for me that just gets boring. I just can't be bothered with that kind of thing. I want a kind of a point and a goal. So obviously there is a point to the game. You need to go through each of the stages or levels, random levels, defeat the bosses that give you an orb where you can then unlock other levels. You've got upgrades through each level. There's also some sort of friends that you can rescue. I don't know. For me, it just gets a bit random. The whole game just feels very, very random, and I kind of was getting to the point I really wasn't enjoying it as such. I don't think it's one of those games that I'm going to come back and play time and time again, although that will differ from person to person. You might love this type of thing and you will probably replay it over and over, upgrading your characters, weapons, that sort of thing. But for me, I always prefer games that have a structure of such that kind of helps you progress through the game naturally, rather than sort of grinding out games where you need to upgrade the characters by just pure grind. Not my type of thing. I really get bored with that style of game. However, if you like that type of thing, you'll probably love this game. I think, again, just like Demons of Asteborg, probably even more so, this one is going to be a game where you're either going to love or you're just going to not see what the fuss is at all. Okay, so final thoughts on this collection. Personally, I think it's the weakest of the 4 carts that was released November 2023 by Blaze, and it's probably the one I'm going to play the least, given the fact we've got Duke Nukem to play, Good Boy Galaxy. I'm not really sure this is one I'll come back to very often, even once I've finished playing those games. Not really my type of game, I have to admit. Some people will probably like this a heck of a lot more than me, and that's totally fine. For me, I think they're very average games. Astebros I got frustrated with the randomness of. I guess that's the point, but I just don't get it. I just don't want to invest any time into it. Whereas Demons of Asteborg was certainly better, but it has its own frustrations. Overall, a bit of a frustrating cart for me. I really think it's not for me. I don't even think it's worthy of being a dual cart, to be honest. I think it's one of the two of these games could even find themselves on Indie Heroes collections rather than on a dual cart. Anyway, that's my thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.